The Middle East is the focus of this week's roundtable, and joining us are two of our regulars, James Rubin, an adjunct professor at Columbia University School of International and Public Affairs and a former Assistant Secretary of State in the Clinton administration, and Ian Bremmer, the president of Eurasia Group, a global business consulting firm. Gentlemen, welcome to the roundtable. Good to see both of you again.
Nice to be with you.
So let's talk about Vice President Joe Biden's visit to the Middle East region. He was snubbed by a wing of the Israeli government. What do you make of this?
Well, I think this issue of having the settlement subject so mar a visit of the Vice President of the United States has really been the trend for the whole year and a half of the Obama administration, because settlements was the divide that began the Obama effort on the Middle East, where they sought a freeze on all Israeli settlements, which the Israelis refused to do, and has caused a lot of frustration around the region and in the administration, because it raises questions about the ability of the United States to play this leadership role on Middle East peace that is so important. So to have Vice President Biden's trip, which was really designed to embrace the Israeli government and embrace Israel, marred this way, I think is pretty unfortunate, and may cause some changes in Israeli politics. At least that's what they're hoping in Washington.
It is unfortunate, there's no question, and I think if I were Biden hearing this literally after his initial meeting with Netanyahu, before they have a private dinner, I'd want to know, is this planned or is it incompetence? It's a little bit in between, in the sense that it's a wing of the government. It's a Minister of Interior from the Shas party, which Netanyahu desperately needs as part of his coalition, but they are putting down the gauntlet. This is critical for their own agenda and maintaining, being out in front of national security issues as perceived by the Israeli population. If they're comparing that to their relationship with the United States, it's not an equal balance. Part of the United States is being seen as having a less effective role, less proactive. They're overwhelmingly focused on domestic issues, of course. So how much time does Obama or even Biden have to do the heavy lifting? But it will be interesting to see if this is going to affect other parts of the relationship that, frankly, had been moving better since Hillary Clinton's visit a few months ago.
But do you think it's actually had the effect of souring relations between the United States and Israel?
Well, I think it has certainly caused consternation in the White House, and that is not a good thing from Israel's standpoint, because America is Israel's best friend in the world, and at a time when the subject of a threat to Israel, Iran, is dominating the international agenda. American officials are going around the world as we speak trying to get support for sanctions on Iran. To have this kind of issue come up isn't good news for the Israelis or the White House. But here's the question. The question is, what will result from it? Will it just be another one of those issues that stays with the U.S.-Israeli relationship, or will it shake up the Israeli political system? Because the last time Netanyahu was prime minister, he suffered from having failed to manage the U.S. relationship with Israel, and so he knows that that can hurt him politically, and we'll see whether he can do anything about it.
Do you think that the United States is going about this in a sense of trying to manage the relationship and manage the conflict rather than trying to resolve it? I mean, is there a realignment perhaps going on with the Obama administration in terms of its priorities in the Middle East, perhaps looking more towards Iran and putting the Middle East on the back burner?
I think they're managing foreign policy crises around the world. This is the way they're handling the G2 and the U.S.-China relationship. It's the way they've been dealing with Russia. There's really a sense that we want to manage conflict when it comes up, but there is no Obama doctrine. And so, as a consequence, do I believe that we're going to see a dramatic change in U.S.-Israeli relations as a consequence of this? I don't. Biden came out, and even after the snub, then and after sort of Netanyahu, I think, did some explaining around it and some apologizing around it, said, look, Israel has no better friend than the United States, still was prepared to say that. I can't see the United States fundamentally changing its policy towards Israel as a result of this. I think that Iran is still a much higher priority. That's what's going to eat up most of the relatively narrow bandwidth that the United States has to deal with Israel. And frankly, they're seeing relatively eye to eye on dealing with Iran important right now, as is a lot of the international community.
Jamie, do you think that there's anything that the United States can do that it hasn't done to pressure Israel on the issue of settlements?
Pressure is one of those words that American officials hate, but obviously is something that needs to be done here. But pressure has been successful only when it has been pressuring the Israeli public to evolve its position. Because as the Israeli public evolves, so the Israeli government. They're a hyper-democracy that can often reflect changes in government that change public opinion, can do it very, very fast. So in the Clinton administration, when we were working very hard on the peace process, and the Israeli government and the United States disagreed on the importance of peace for Israelis, President Clinton and his team, Madeleine Albright and others, made a persuasive case directly to the world and to the Israeli people that Prime Minister Netanyahu was harming Israel's security. The result was a change in government, the rise of Ehud Barak, and the most dramatic forward-leaning peace offer ever made by the Israeli government. So it is possible to have America do influence, but politically, not through some sort of, financial pressure.
And just in the last 40 seconds or so that we have left, I'd just like to get your thoughts on what you think is going to happen with the prospects for these proximity talks.
I can't see any positive movement in the near-term future. I really don't think. I think that Jamie's completely right. There's this major issue of moving the Israeli population politically, but from a security perspective, they're increasingly on the back foot. They know the Iranians are going nuclear. Nothing's going to stop them. They understand that they have serious problems with ballistic missiles that can now hit Tel Aviv. Pushing them in this direction goes against everything that's gravitational right now for the Israeli domestic population.
But you have to try, and I think it's important that George Mitchell do the work.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.